Let's talk about ROTC, Air Force ROTC. I started at NC State in 1983 after transferring from Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University in Daytona Beach, Florida, where I went to college. First went out to college after high school. We'll talk more about Embry-Riddle later. But when I went into ROTC, I also worked full time when I was in college. I would basically go to school from 7:45, first class every morning that nobody wanted to take, so it was very easy to get those classes. 7:45, I'd go to classes all the way through till about 3 in the afternoon, so 3, 4, maybe 5 classes depending on what it was. And then I would go to work from about 4:30 until 10, sometimes 11, sometimes midnight during the holiday seasons. So I'm going to school full time during the day, working full time in the evenings and at night, and then from basically like midnight to 2 a.m. I'm doing my homework and stuff, and then getting 4 hours of sleep from 2 to 6ish, and then getting back up and going and hitting my 7:45 class again. And people are like, damn, how do you do that? You know, that's crazy. You have to. That's all there is to it. It's just shit you gotta do. And, you know, for the college students that used to sleep in until 10 and used to, you know, make their schedule around like the soap operas and stuff so they could watch Snapper and Victor Newman and all that. I'm like, whatever. You know, I had to get my shit, get in, get out. So that's how it was. But anyway, back to ROTC. So when I was in ROTC, you know, you've got little things you got to do. You know, at the lower levels, you might be a cadet sergeant, cadet master sergeant, whatever. And there's stuff you got to do around the detachment for your flight or for your squadron or whatever. Man, I do that stuff and then I'm out of there because I got to go to work. I'm not hanging around the cadet lounge chatting and you know, jaw-gabbing with everybody. I got stuff to do. I'm not on scholarship. I was not on scholarship. So I didn't get a free ride. I was one of those cadets who was a military brat. One of the few cadets that was a military brat. So I actually knew what the Air Force was like, the real Air Force was like, and I knew the ROTC, this ROTC debt environment is not it. I mean, it is, you know, structurally it is, but it's not the real Air Force. So, you know, there are some kids, we call them ROTC Nazis. You probably heard the term before. And, you know, they're like, well, I'm cadet sergeant or cadet lieutenant so-and-so. You need to do what I say. And I'm like, fuck you, dude. I gotta go to work. All right? So I did what I needed to do. I'm out of here. So ROTC, although a necessary evil for me, was annoying as fuck. It was an additional thing that I had to deal with to get somewhere to get what I want, which was a commission and go into the Air Force. Honestly, yeah. Let's talk about Arnold Air Society. That's a real good one. So Arnold Air Society is technically, I got the definition here, it is a ROTC cadet service organization that focuses on supporting the cadet wing, service to the community, training and leadership, professional military education, and Air Force education. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, basically it's like an Air Force frat or whatever. You know, then you got the, what was the little female, the Angel Flight. Then you got Angel Flight, and those are the girls that help out Arnold Air Society. Those are chicks that want to be Air Force pilot wives and stuff, okay? So Arnold Air Society and Angel Flight and all that stuff, I didn't have time for that. You know, not bagging on you. I'm sorry if you're an Arnold Air guy or Angel Flight girl. Good on you. I'm glad you had fun. I didn't have time for that shit. So I remember my senior year. Now, I had never been asked to possibly join this. My senior year, I remember going into the cadet lounge and pulling out this thing from my mailbox, and it was like an invite from Arnold Air Society to come to one of their meetings and stuff, you know, as a potential candidate. And I remember there were people in the lounge, and I opened it up and I read it, and I'm like, man, I'm a senior. I'm almost out of here. I don't need you for anything. And I read it, and I kind of giggled, and I knew people were watching me. I kind of giggled, and then just balled it up, fucking threw it in the trash, and then went to work. So, ROTC, again, it was kind of an annoyance to me. It got me where I needed to be. I'm very grateful. I held up my end of the ROTC bargain. They held up their end of the bargain. But honestly, if I had to do over again, I would not. I would just go through college, be a regular drunk-ass college student, and then would go to OTS afterwards and get your 6 weeks or however, whatever time it is now, get your 6 weeks of like Air Force ass pain and come out a lieutenant versus doing this piecemeal stuff for 3 or 4 years or whatever to do it the ROTC way. Not saying ROTC is bad. If you got a scholarship, hell yeah, go do it. But for me, in my situation, it was not the greatest thing in the world. So, you know, hopefully I know I'm going to piss some people off at Det 595, but, yo, that's the fucking truth. So, all right. If you like this story, or if you didn't like this story, press the like button, press the subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.